started. Okay, well, thank you guys for coming on this off-centered board meeting this evening. We did kind of do it off-centered because we do have our convention coming up this Saturday. So I appreciate just kind of going off of that difference a little bit. So yeah, we will get going. Slightly changed agenda from what I originally sent out and what we had on the original email and online. So bear with me on that as I kind of bounce back and forth between my emails and what we have. But first things first, we do have the approval of the September minutes. That should have been included in the emails. Were there any issues, any discussion on that? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
Sure. I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Do you have a quorum, Kurt?
We do have a quorum, yes.
Okay.
We do have a quorum. So cool. All right, thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is just my activities and what I have been up to. So since our last meeting, I've been working for 32 hours. One of the biggest things that took way more time than I thought it would was completing that 2050 draft, which we'll be talking about shortly. And so, yeah, that took way more time than I thought it would, but there was a lot of stuff in there, as you could probably imagine. So that was my kind of media and outreach sort of thing that I was working on. Also on the fundraising front, met with Megan Waters. She's the community outreach person over at UTA. Actually had a pretty good meeting with her. Now that we've gotten more support for the CAT program, if you may recall, maybe 6 months to 9 months ago, they were supportive of our CAT program. But they were hesitant to be the only supporter, right? But now that we've got UCARE and the University of Utah Health, they're willing to reconsider kind of giving us funds for that. So I met with her last Friday. Hey, John, good to see you. Met with her last Friday, and it sounds like they're actually going to start moving forward a little bit more with that. So I will continue to put pressure on her to move forward. But yeah, now that UTA would not be the only supporter of the CAP program, we'll probably be able to get a little bit more support. So I'll put some pressure on that. And then as a side note, as a scratch my back, scratch yours, they are, just as FYI, they are piloting new bike racks on FrontRunner. And they want us to start kind of pushing out, hey, if you see these bike racks, tell us what you think. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be happy to do that. So we'll turn that into a little bit of a media thing. As well, just as a fun little side note. As far as networking is concerned, met with Patty Cook with the Women's Leadership Institute. If you recall, that was kind of related to trying to get more women on the board and see if we can get some recruitment on there. Did not have any women sign up to nominate themselves. We did have one non-binary individual, though, so that's awesome. That's great. Sign up. In total, we had 5, just in case anybody was wondering. So everybody will at least get a position. And how we have it set up in the rules is that at least 3 people will serve a 2-year term, 2 of them will serve a 1-year term, and we'll basically be voting on who gets what. But I digress. Also met with Alex Cragen. So for those of you that don't know, he was one of the original board members on UTRU. Met with him to talk about the 7-day challenge. If you recall, on the last board meeting, it was kind of talking about what possibly restarting the 7-day program or the 7-day challenge and what kind of went into that. I believe I included that as an action item a little bit later on in the agenda. Yes, so I will save that for a little bit later, but did meet with him. Also met with McKay. McKay is on the call right now to start setting up a Cache Valley chapter, which is pretty awesome. We will be working on that. And so my focus has been kind of our convention and as well as the 2050 plan, but I have started working on that as well. And McKay, I'll give you a chance to talk a little bit later as we kind of talk about that and make it a formal chapter in a minute. And then, yes, also provide a presentation to the Wasatch Front Regional Council, just telling them a little bit more about UTRU and what we do. I've gotten a couple of people kind of reach out afterwards, just expressing their interest. Getting involved there. So yeah, I'll be following up with that. As far as upcoming activities, really the biggest thing is the convention this Saturday. Pretty much everything's in place. I'm just doing the PowerPoints, getting all that sort of stuff put together. It's pretty much there. The only couple things, well, again, it's later on in the agenda, so never mind. I'm going to hold off on that for a minute. But yes, that's the other things as far as upcoming. By the numbers, 18 new Twitter followers, now sitting at 865. One new TikTok follower, now at 18. No new YouTube followers or members, so 8 and 225 respectively. One new person on our mailing list, it is now sitting at 43, and then 5 new dues paying members, which is now sitting at 18. So those are the numbers. Any questions on any of my activities?
Did you do it with a smile on your face?
Of course I did. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
then I'm good.
Sounds good. All right. Well, if there aren't any if there aren't any questions, next thing we have on the agenda is the 2050 plan review. This thing is pretty big. This thing is pretty comprehensive. So I'm just going to share my screen.
Oh, now I have to make my screen bigger. Gosh
I'm
darn it.
sorry. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen. I hope you guys looked it over. I didn't get any feedback from y'all, so I hope you're pretty much happy with what I put together. I broke it up by basically like by Salt Lake County, in Salt Lake County, like Salt Lake City, Mid Valley, South Valley, Utah County, the Provo Orem area, Northern Utah County, Southern Utah County, then Davis and Weber counties, Southern Davis County, Northern Davis County, the Ogden area, and then the rest of Weber County, and then Tooele, Box Elder, and Summit counties individually, and then just did it that way. Within those, I just did kind of the good, the bad, and then just the other. As you can see, I kind of wrote it by breaking it up into kind of the individual items that were being discussed. So like the bus route connecting the power truck station to Lakeview Hospital, right? So specific routes that kind of stuck out to me as, in this case, like a good thing and something that should be supported, or a bad thing of like the Woods Cross Front Runner Station is still underutilized, right? And so I kind of wrote this with two fronts in mind. So ultimately, I want to release this as a series of blog posts for our members to digest, and then give a condensed down version to UTA as part of the public comments. So Megan has been nice and patient with us and is willing to kind of hold the public comment open for us specifically, but they are waiting on us to submit this. So I do want to get this over to her sooner rather than later, which is why I wanted to get to you guys first. With it being so big and comprehensive, I didn't want to just send it off. I did want to get board approval first. But that being said, I wanted to see if you guys had any comments, any thoughts, any ideas, anything you want me to add, subtract, multiply, or divide.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that that you interject the idea of what Transit Imagined is, which is a lot more than what they are putting out in their 2050 plan. And so I would say that just from a wish points, a wish standard, I mean, I'll fight until I'm dead to get it, and of course I'll probably be dead before it ever happens. But yeah, so I would basically say leave it with the hash, the hashtag, basically more buses, more trains everywhere all the time. And that once if you put that in there and say, yep, this is what we think is good, this is the bad, but the ultimate bad is we want more buses, more trains everywhere all the time. And again, that's what we're fighting for.
Yeah, and that is kind of peppered throughout. It's not. I don't think I mentioned Transit Imagine specifically anywhere in here because I did want to focus on the 2050 plan. But yes, I can definitely add more of that in.
I think just more as a postscript that just says,
Sure.
this is good, but it could be much better, and it should be much better along the lines of more buses, more trains everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I can do like a prologue and an epilogue sort of thing involved with that. I that wouldn't be too hard. It would match the theme overall of what I've been putting in. So yeah, I can definitely do that. That's not a problem. Yeah, it's funny, and Mike can probably attest to this during the regional council meeting when I actually brought up Transit Imagined to the group, and UTA's the people from UTA's eyes just kind of went wide because they're like, "Whoa, this is way bigger than what we had imagined it could be." Even with the 2050 plan, it was kind of funny talking to them afterwards. They're like, "Wow, you really are swinging." And we're like, yes, we are. We
We're gonna
absolutely are.
swing until we go down or get what we want. And I mean, that's literally what the whole group is. That's what we're about.
Yep.
And I'll say
And
it
so
one more time. More buses, more trains everywhere all the
all the
time.
time. Yep, exactly. So cool. Any other comments that anybody has or anything they want to add, John?
Yeah, does the plan from the UTA make any mention of climate change?
No, it doesn't. I mean, so, and it's not really the point of the plan per se. It's really more just like, hey, from UTA's point of view, right? It's hey, we recognize that growth is happening. If we had an unlimited budget, this is what we would like to see, right? And so here's what we would love our routes to be, and here's what we would like to have happen. But there's no real specific mention of it. Like it skirts around it a lot. It's like, boy, we'd like to have more walkable communities to help with to help with emissions and stuff like that. But it doesn't specifically mention anything like
Climate change doesn't exist, John. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just ask any Republican lawmaker. They'll tell you
Yep.
it doesn't
Well,
exist.
We have to disagree better about the fact that climate change doesn't exist, right?
Yeah. Let me disagree with my fist.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
I'll
much.
disagree better across your jaw.
Yeah, I mean that might just be worth a mention on our side since transportation accounts for 1/3 or so, 20 to 30% of emissions of climate change, and you know that's an important thing. We had the Speaker of our House, our new Senate candidate, Brad Wilson, is it that
Yep.
was at the climate change symposium held at the Wilkes Center for Climate Science, which is a new $25 million institute at the University of Utah. So, you know, it seems like it's eventually, you know, by the time like sea level has reached Utah, they may come around to it. But it does seem to be like there's percolating some action on, or at least some awareness that the issue is not going away and that it's a serious issue from the Romney types and the other, you know, moderate-ish people out there. So I think it might be worth, you know, throwing that in there to say, you know, that should be part of the discussion. It should be part of the context, the strategy, the importance of it. So when things do shift, and they will eventually shift, that, you know, UT is well positioned to discuss it in those contexts.
Yep, I can include that as well.
Yeah, because literally the thing that would help climate change is if everybody got out of their cars. Well, what are they going to do when they get out of their cars? They're going to need more buses, more trains everywhere all the time.
Exactly.
It's like it's all connected, man.
See what I did there?
Wow, you blew my mind. Cool. Yeah, and again, I can include that like an epilogue and a prologue. That wouldn't be a problem at all. I figure at 11, it's currently at 11 pages and just over 5,000 words. Can we call it a manifesto? I don't know.
Yes, it's a manifesto. Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Randy. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the Salt Lake County part, is there any mention about the ski bus service and the gondola thing?
No, and that is by design. So one of the things that UTA kind of specifically called out as part of their presentation is that they did not include that. And I do mention it kind of later on somewhere, so I guess it is in a roundabout way, but they purposely did not include that in the 2050 plan because it's such a moving target. And so they acknowledge that it is a thing. They acknowledge that it could be something that they have to work around and adapt to, but they did not want to include it in the 2050 plan as it is. Mike, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I've been serving on the Stakeholders Advisory Committee for the Central Wasatch Commission for a while now, and they recently split us up into committees based on the pillars of the original Mountain Accord, that process that was done a few years ago. And long story short, I am now co-chair of the Transportation Committee of the of this group, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things that we're going to be looking at. And one of them is to create a new transit district that actually takes over ski bus service from UTA. So that's currently the direction that things are headed. In talking to my colleagues that are representing the ski resorts are very upset that they are paying UTA for what should be 15-minute service and are not getting 15-minute bus service. And so, yeah, there's going to be some interesting things happening there. But also that revelation that ski bus service was not going to be returned prompted me to go ahead and write an op-ed to Building Salt Lake, which I just dropped into the chat, which reveals a lot about why UTA is having issues hiring and retaining bus drivers.
It's a good read. Yeah, so take a look at that one. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to. I'm
Yeah.
totally confused.
The TLDR is they don't trust their own system.
Yeah, but the other thing too, one of the reasons why it's left out of here, and we're not talking about it, but you know, look at what's going to happen in 2050. In 2050, what's supposed to happen is there's not going to be any more snow. And this is why what John talked about with climate change. In 2050, Utah is projected not to have snow on a regular basis. It'll snow in the mountains, but it won't stick. And if it does snow, but then it likely will just be rain. So, and the other part of it is the gondola has gone up another $500 million from the time it was proposed until now. To be honest with you, I don't think the state legislature is going to write a $3.5 billion check to run a gondola up the canyon. So while it's a really big thing right now, we still have 27 years before 2050 hits, and we still have 20 years to go before it's even started. 20 years before it's even started. I would bet, if I was a betting man, which I am, I might not live that long, but I would say that the gondola will be dead on arrival simply because there's not going to be any way to pay for it, and there's not going to be any snow in the canyons.
What's the 20 years that you were referencing?
Before they actually even start.
Yeah, that whole phased approach that UDOT has laid out, there is nothing binding whatsoever about it.
Yep.
And so if the legislature were to say, hey, we want to spend the money on the gondola, the next legislative session,
they could do it.
They would, yeah. That's been one of the really frustrating things, is that UDOT's laid out these things that aren't binding at all. So
yep, and the legislature is the entity that has to provide the money, and right now it's at what, $1.5 billion, or I mean, it's fairly expensive, and
no, but they already have $3 million or whatever in the that's been set aside to do their environmental studies and all that.
Yeah, but that would be like me sneezing into a Kleenex and saying that we've started something. And it's just a drop. It's just a drop in the bucket, Randy. It's not even
$3 million.
Hey guys, let's focus back. I know we could talk about the guy. It's just we got a
And
pretty
again,
packed
I mean, I know
schedule.
we talk about it, and I know it's a big thing, but it is not even. It's not even on the radar. It's not, and I doubt it will be there, because
Yeah.
again, I'll just leave it at that. Move on, Curtis. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thanks,
back to the
sorry.
No, you're fine. It's all good. It's just, yeah, as far as the 2050 plan, to answer the question, the UTA has purposely and specifically stated we are not discussing ski buses or the gondola because they don't know the status of it. And therefore, what I have written up does not include any mention of the 2050 plan. Okay. Any other items we want to discuss on this plan, or at least this review?
I think you've done an excellent job, Curtis.
Thank you.
Strong
All
work,
right.
Curtis.
Thank you. If that's the case, I'm looking for a motion and a vote.
I'll move whatever the motion is.
Motion is to approve this for
Let's
submission
so
and
moved.
also, okay,
So
cool.
moved.
Second,
I'll second.
great. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Cool. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I will start moving on getting that published and put out. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the 7-day challenge. Okay, so if you recall during the last meeting we had, the UTRU students chapter was discussing the idea of doing the 7-day challenge, kind of bringing that back as a point of history. I think it was 2015. UTRU actually did the 7-day challenge. Now, in talking with Alex, who was kind of the catalyst for that back in 2015, it kind of happened backwards. It started as just a petition going around to encourage UTA to have more nighttime service and more frequency and weekend service and basically those ideas, right? But specifically focused around nighttime service. And in the way Alex told it to me, and as I vaguely recalled by myself, Alex was kind of presenting the petition to UTA, and kind of on the spur of the moment, he said, "I challenge everybody to use the system for 7 days." And he basically started calling people out at the time. So it was a very impromptu thing that just sort of happened. And if you know Alex, you also know that he has a lot of connections with the media, and he was able to move on it pretty quickly. And so that's how the original 7-day challenge happened. And so not that that's a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination, but he definitely would have done things about it differently had he thought about it and planned around it a little bit better. And so with that being said, I had a good opportunity to kind of pick his brain for an hour or two about some of the things that we could possibly do if we were to re-engage and attempt another 7-day challenge. And so we've got some time on this. We don't need to do anything today, but some of the ideas that we discussed that I think that we should start kind of kicking around are a fewfold. So first of all, probably not a great idea to just have it just be UTRU students, and that's not a knock against them, but it's just that this is a bigger thing than that, right? We can reach out to more people, we have more resources, we can have a bigger stretch if it is UTRU, like the entire organization. Now, we can certainly have chapters assist with this and push it out and really try to continue to advance it and put pressure on the local communities and community leaders to participate in the 7-day challenge. But yeah, from an organizational standpoint, some of the things that we could do is start to build up the resources. So mayors, getting the list of names of mayors, city council members, legislators, DAs, obviously people who work for UTA, but also extending it out to Cache Valley, Cat down in Cedar City, Suntran, Park City, High Valley, the Uinta Basin. Like we could theoretically send this out to more than just UTA, right? There are more opportunities to get to more people if we truly kind of plan this out and start thinking about this a little bit more. And so that's portion number one, is we have more opportunities to plan, we have more opportunities to target, and we have more opportunities to kind of reach out to the media to tell them that this is a thing that we're doing. Second thing is that I thought was a very good idea is we should have something to rally around, similar to what Alex was originally doing back in 2015 with like, hey, let's get more nighttime service, let's get more extended service so that people can do that. Transit Imagine is a good idea. I don't know if it'll be fully ready by the time we can start like getting people to sign a petition saying this is what we want. But something that definitely can get people excited about transit, get people frustrated with the current state of affairs, and say, yeah, you people you're making these decisions. You should be writing the system. Something that gets them riled up a little bit. First of all, to generate publicity, right? Well, and generate membership and say that there is a movement behind it. Put some pressure on public officials. To not only participate in the challenge, but also to raise awareness around transit. And so something along those lines that can either be system by system. So for UTA, it may be one thing. For Cache Valley, it may be another thing. For SunTran, it may be something else. Or it could be a unified message. We want the legislature to fund transit overall. And that also is a valid one. And start gathering petitions, right? Getting signatures and having something to present to the legislature or something like that. I personally kind of like the idea of gathering signatures to advocate for more transit funding. If that were the case, we'd want to probably start soon because the legislative funding budget stuff starts happening really kind of mid-January and starts finalizing mid-February. That would also kind of line it up with all the clean air stuff and the Clean Air Caucus and people realizing that, oh yeah, we live in a fishbowl and the air is terrible, and certainly along the Wasatch Front where the majority of Utahns live. So these are some of the ideas that we're kind of kicking around that we were discussing, Alex and I, as far as possible next steps. Structurally, I think it's very doable. Let's see, and with the right amount of planning, it shouldn't be too difficult. We can start the petition process fairly easily. Website, push it out on social media. We can get some, I'm sure we can get plenty of print media. He also recommended we reach out to like Radio from Hell and some of the like alt magazines that are out there. And just kind of continue to work those sorts of processes or those sorts of contacts to just kind of push it out from whenever we decide to start, which probably should be sooner rather than later, and just push this out and promote it between now and, like I said, probably sometime in January, February, culminating in that 7-day challenge to, hey, this is our challenge to all of the civic leaders up and down the state of Utah. Ride your system for 7 days. The system that your voters, your constituents rely on, and then tell us how it goes. And then tell us if you think it needs more funding, right? So that's what I wanted to report back on. And just kind of wanted to throw it out there as far as thoughts, ideas, suggestions, next steps you want me to take. Yeah, there you go.
I think the idea of the goal, I think it can still be centered around Transit Imagined, even if we don't have concrete plans in every location. I think, I mean, the whole idea, I mean, the motivating thing behind Transit Imagined is, just better transit, more buses, more trains everywhere all the time, right? And so if we use that as kind of like, this is what the 7-day challenge is about, is so that we can, the system is good to a certain extent, but if you're in Harriman and you're expecting to go to the grocery store using your bus, you don't get it. You get the on-demand. Same thing in Tooele. I've been trying to figure out how to get transit to Tooele. You can't get to Tooele from anywhere. You can only go from Tooele in the morning, early morning,
Oh,
and
it's
then
terrible.
and then get back in like 3:30 in the evening, right? Or in the evening. And so these are just, blaring problems with the transit system. So but I think the idea that it's focused around transit imagined and what we think transit should be compared to where we're at, and that's why the 7-day challenge exists. If you don't ultimately take transit right now, you should try it out. I mean, back when we did this, or I should say when Alex kind of dropped the bomb and said this is what we should do, and then he did it. He was pressing for all of the 15 members on the UTA board to talk about it. Well, they had these archaic rules back then, and they didn't allow board members really to say much of anything. And they tried to keep board members from being able to to say anything. And so who ultimately did it was Greg Hughes. And I think Greg Hughes lasted a couple of days. Maybe he didn't do it the full 7 days, but he did try to do an appointment, and and he was like, wow, I had to walk quite a bit, so for him, it was it was kind of an eye opener. But then again, that was it. That's as far as it went.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we could approach it that way. And I think that's great as far as tying Transit Imagine in. Again, I do think it's important that we have some sort of rallying cry, something that is like, we have signatures, right? We have, and obviously Transit Imagine is very dependent on funding and those sorts of things, which is why I like the idea of tying it to like the legislature and funding. And I mean, UTA does not get funding from the state legislature unless it's a pass through from the federal government, right? They do not give operating funds to UTA.
Or, I mean, but there's other ways that you can go about doing it. And I have talked about, getting a full penny or 2 pennies on the ballot, right? And so I think the rallying cry is there for money, but I don't, to be honest with you, if this goes through February and we're able to launch it and do everything in February, it doesn't end there, because really it's like, we have to keep talking about funding. So while I think that is a good idea, it doesn't end at February. So even if we don't have everything that we want, if we don't have all these petitions ready to go by February, that's fine, because next February we can do the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, and don't get me wrong. I'm of the opinion that this should be an annual thing, right? But that being said, I think it is a way for because I'm also thinking of engagement, right? I am also thinking of how do you make people feel good and have it in their mind to keep transit, and part of that is kind of like, I will sign a petition saying I support raising taxes by a penny or whatever, right? I am actively saying I am willing to pay more for transit, right? And so if we as UTRU can present that as part of the process, and then, okay, here are X amount of Utahns who have signed their name, and now we're going to ask you lawmakers, and we're going to ask you mayors, and we're going to ask you council members, and we're going to ask you county commissioners, use the system your citizens rely on. I think that's a powerful 1-2 punch, which is why I'm pushing for that, right? And then again, it is membership. First of all, it's membership recruitment, it's membership retainment, it's building excitement around UTRU and what we are doing. So that's why I am advocating for kind of that 1-2 punch. And I think Transit Imagine is a great way to coalesce around that. And yeah, does every single piece of Transit Imagine need to be in place when we start talking about this? No.
Yes.
Well, would it be great? Yes. But if we even have just the ideas and the concepts in place, it's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
So kind of with the board's general permission, I kind of want to start moving forward with this after convention and start kind of really bringing everything together. Chris is blessing me. I'm hoping everybody else is generally blessing me because this is going to be a pretty big project, right? And we'll take it from there. So unless I hear any objections, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that as kind of the main thing. Kind of
Yeah,
going forward.
I think
top
so, and
of,
I don't think you need a, I don't think we need to put it in a proposal and vote on it. I think it's a
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Something
and
Yeah,
to
go
do.
ahead. I think Curtis also, when it comes to like getting signatures or getting the support of people who would say I'll pay extra for transit. There's seems to be some activity going on whenever I go over to get some go over the west side around the I-15 coalition, the anti-I-15 coalition. So they might be a good one to
oh no, I mean,
approach for that
I'm gonna,
getting some more support.
yeah, I mean, honestly, the plan is to blast this out everywhere. Like, it's not a formal petition. It's not as if we're gonna get something on the ballot, right? That is not the intention. So because it's not gonna be on the ballot, it's just we are collecting names. It's the old school standing on a soapbox, right? And so it's not like we have to follow laws or rules around that. It's just we want to get names, and yeah, we'll make sure that they look legit, but we don't want to just have a million John Does on there.
sunny
But
day,
yeah,
sunny day,
exactly. But at the
sunny
same time,
day.
like, yeah, we want to show, like, yes, Utahns really do think that this is important. And we'll throw some like protocols around there. Like, yeah, you have to put in your actual address. We're not going to share it, but you need to punch in your address and that sort of stuff. So cool. Well, then I will start working on that kind of going forward. The next item, McKay, if you want to start unmuting yourself and hop back on or hop on and show your lovely face up in Cache Valley. Yeah, so McKay reached out to me, what, 2-3 weeks ago, just expressing interest and wanting to get more involved, and so we had a nice little back and forth about starting a chapter up in the Cache Valley Logan area, because obviously we are a statewide organization, right? So one of the other things I'm going to be doing post convention is really starting to push out a Cache Valley organization. So I started working on that. But I did want to kind of pass the time over to McKay really quick. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to be involved, and kind of what you're hoping to do, and help us out at the northern end of Utah.
Yeah. All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm McKay. I've been living in Cache Valley since 2016. I went to USU and then I graduated and stayed here. I heard about you guys just recently from the Red Line podcast. You did an episode with them, and that's some good publicity. I love their podcast. So recently I've been riding the Cache Valley bus a lot more because it actually goes to my new job where it did not go to my previous job. And it's actually awesome for the size that Cache Valley and Logan is and how extremely car dependent we are up here. It is a great service. We have some 15-minute routes. It has extremely good coverage in Logan itself. And I just hope to do more to support it. I think it was created by citizen advocacy back in the 90s, and I think it needs more of that now. There's been some Cache Valley is kind of moving in the right direction. The Cache Valley plan has some things about transit in there, but there's just not enough of it. And the Cache Council recently voted to move taxes from CVTD to local municipalities, which I don't like. And so I just hope to work with you guys to bring more better CVTD, and also we need to make that bus route to Ogden happen.
Yes, we desperately do.
So
yeah,
What the hell?
If there's one thing I want to do, it's just that.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Yeah, and one of the things that I do appreciate is the fact that the U in UTRU is Utah, right? We are a statewide organization, and I think that it's very easy for people to best be like, oh, you complain to UTRU or to UTA. It's like, no, we complain to everybody, and so I think it's awesome, and I appreciate you being so proactive and reaching out to us, because the cash value system, like you said, it's great for Logan. It's also the only system that actually goes up to Idaho, or it's the only one that crosses state lines, which is a fun little fact. But yes, there is it's an important system. It's one that needs attention and deserves attention, just like UTA does. For example, as we're talking about the UTA 2050 plan, I was disappointed too that there was no connection to Logan, right? It's like, come on, guys. You're going to Brigham City. You're right there. Just hop on over. So awesome. So just by way of formalities, McKay did submit paperwork to formally make a Cache Valley chapter. In my opinion, as executive director, everything is formally in order. We are working to, once this kind of goes through and once at post-convention, I'm going to reach out to the members that have identified themselves as living in the Cache Valley area. And we'll put out a formal blast saying like, hey, here's what's going on. We want to encourage you to be involved with this organization. I will be building websites and forums and those sorts of things so that we can direct people towards the chapter. And then McKay, from your end, I will be reaching out at least on a monthly basis for these meetings, as well as just kind of checking in, making sure we know what's going on with you guys up there, keeping that communication open. In a lot of ways, and I tell this to all the chapters, but the chapters really are the eyes and the ears of this organization, right? And so in a lot of ways, we depend on you to inform us of what's going on the local level. So definitely make sure we're keeping that communication open. So
this brings a tear of joy to my eyes. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. So as I said, everything is in order. So I am looking for a motion to formally adopt the Cache Valley as our newest chapter of UTRU.
Motion made.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is there, so all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations to the Cache Valley chapter, and McKay, you are our newest UTRU chapter.
This is what I've always hoped for, Curtis.
Well, it's the thing is the chapter system is important and it works, right? And so we will continue to grow it. Yeah, like I said, McKay, we'll be in touch. Just let us get over this weekend and our convention. That being said, we will definitely pitch the Cache Valley chapter this weekend for sure. But on that note, and moving on to the next item on the agenda, we do have our convention on Saturday. So I just wanted to pull up just kind of what I put together as far as our plans for the convention. Bear with me, it's mostly just I'm putting together the PowerPoint more than anything, just so you have an idea of what's going on. So you should be able to see just kind of the agenda that I put together. So just wanted to kind of walk you through it. John, as president, I kind of want you just to kind of do the call to convention. Really, it shouldn't be very much at all. Just kind of a brief kind of 5 minutes. Hey, thank you very much for coming by. We've got a lot of great stuff going on at UTRU. Maybe talk a little bit about Transit Imagined, how it's a great thing, and we've got big plans for that. You can even talk about how we're working on the 7-day challenge. You know, we're working on bringing that together, and CAT program and chapters and kind of whatever you want to put together. But
only 5 minutes.
Yeah, like 5 minutes. Honestly, like 5 minutes, something like that. You're muted.
All in 5. Got it.
Yeah, just something super quick. Just enough to let us know. And then we'll kind of move over to the adoption of rules. That one's going to be pretty quick as well. Just, hey, Robert's rule. I don't expect too much controversy around that, but I'll handle the adoption of rules. We'll move on to candidate speeches. As I said, we have 5 candidates that stepped up and nominated themselves. I'll be reaching out to all the candidates, including those on the call. So Randy and Zach specifically. Just 2-minute speeches. I'll let them know, hey, why did you run? What do you want to do for transit? You know, why did you decide to run? And so just something super quick, nothing too crazy. From there, we will open it up for any floor nominations. I don't expect anything from that, but we want to make sure that we have that there. After floor nominations, I will be sending out the ranked choice voting to our to our dues paying members. So I will be hitting send on that at that point.
So
I'm going
who are the candidates, Kurt?
So yeah, so we have 5 total. Let me pull that up really quick. I can drop it in the chat actually. Do that.
Has that been published?
Yes, it has been published. I put it out today. I sent it out as an email blast, but also I will be doing, I'm going to be doing some media around it, like just Twitter blasts and stuff like that. I put it on our Facebook page as well. But yeah, we have a total of 5 candidates, just alphabetical by last name. So everybody's going to be on the board, because if we had 6 or more, if we had more than 6, then we would have to start actually voting people off the island. But that didn't happen. So it'll just be for 1 or 2 year terms based off of the rules that we put together. So yeah, but there's a list of people that nominated themselves. And then as we're waiting for votes to kind of come in, we will be doing voting and member discussion of 2024 items and issues. Oh, was there someone? Okay, so this is kind of where maybe Chris, if you want to give maybe a just a financial update as part of that, I should probably throw that in there.
We've got no money.
We've got no money. Okay, so we can talk about that. Financial update, but also just kind of some of the things that maybe our members want to talk about. We can keep that open and discuss that. Maybe ideas of where people want to go. Expand on the 7-day challenge and expand on Transit Imagined, expand on the CAP program, see what people are talking about, see what our members are talking about and what they would like us to focus on. Double back on the fact that we do kind of want our members to be more involved going forward, our voting members to be more involved in the future. And so we're going to be reaching out to them to maybe have more say in where we go and what we do as far as local issues are concerned. We can start talking about that a little bit more. And then, yeah, we'll announce our winners and then we will close out the convention. So that's what we're looking at as far as that is concerned. So is there, and that should keep us at about an hour, but any questions on that? Anything anybody wants to go over? Cool. All right. Well, if that's that, we got about 10 minutes left before we should call it. So that leaves us with open forum. Does anybody have anything that they want to discuss?
We need money.
Okay. Good to know.
You're able. We're about ready to start recruitment with UTA for the band pools at the university. So let's try and catch up sometime this week so that we can go over the materials, and the budget's open in terms of my grant, so you can invoice us at any time.
Okay. I think
will there be money?
Yeah, so
200 or something like that. I think that's what we budgeted.
I did invoice them about a month and a half ago, so I don't know if you received that, Chris.
Okay.
So if they haven't sent that off, then we should probably follow up on that.
I don't think I've seen any.
It's followed up on, and I will. I'll send some emails tomorrow because I don't remember. I don't recall seeing it, but I could have missed it. I had
and if they sent a check here, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Yeah,
I've seen these though.
Okay, that's good to know. And I can swing by and pick those up too, Chris.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, as far as fundraising is concerned, yeah, it's. I'll continue reaching out for grants, continue doing those sorts of things. It is to the point, and Randy, I know that we talked about it, but we do need to touch base and see if we can find some more connections as far as business development and getting more funds through those sources. It needs to happen anyway, but it does hammer home the point that, we really do need to make sure that we're bolstering up our coffers some more, and let's start really pounding the pavement. Let's see if we can start getting more funds coming in. Yeah.
Good.
So let's start working on that. Cool. Just by way of FYIs, I got a promotion at work. Yay. So my schedule is changing slightly. I might be able to hold meetings earlier in the evening. I know we pushed these back just because of my schedule. So if anybody's interested in earlier meetings or change of days, I'm open to the idea. If that's something that we want to do, I'm just throwing it out there. We don't have to do it, but worth a thought. But yeah, anything else anybody else wants to talk about?
Yeah, if earlier is a possibility, that'd be great.
Okay.
This time works okay, but you know, an hour earlier, fine with me.
So
too.
like starting at 6:30 instead of 7:30. Is everybody okay with that as a general statement?
I'm
Yeah, I
good,
think so.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can push it back to 7:30 or 6:30. That shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, it was mostly me. I know. So that shouldn't be a problem going forward for me.
Jerk,
So yeah,
jerk.
I know I'm the worst.
And before you go away, let's have me and you chat, and if John wants to stick around for just a minute.
Sure. Cool. Well, unless anybody else has anything else, we're coming up right on an hour as far as the recording is concerned. So, cool. Well, unless there's anything else, speak now or forever hold your peace until next time. Cool. All right, guys.
Good to see you,
well,
McKay. Good to see you, McKay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
McKay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.